And good morning, everyone. And yes, I know it's Thursday, and I know some of you will be confused because you're expecting our other show, which is The Spirit World Sees All, which will be on probably after this one. So don't go away, don't leave. We have, of course, my co host for the show, Al. Say hi, Al.
Hello, everyone.
And we have a guest. Um, I understand he's super famous and very handsome, and I'm laughing. I'm kidding. I don't know who. I have no idea who he is actually. He's just turned up this morning. But say hi, John.
Hi.
Okay,
Good
so
morning.
because this is Everything is Attitude, we're going to be grilling John. We want to hear, sorry, John, but we will be. We're going to hopefully hear John's story. He's going to tell us his story. And what we're hoping for today is for some really great inspiration. And of course, Al can give us inspiration, and we're hoping John can give us inspiration. And you all, guys, you all know I can give you inspiration. So why don't we just dive in, if that's okay with you, John? Can we dive in? And can you please tell me, what exactly are you doing here?
Not a problem. Well, first of all, thank you so much for both of you inviting me to be here. I really appreciate it. For me, I've started a movement that is called Every Damn Day. And so there's a story behind Every Damn Day. And I'll kind of give you the background on that. So I mentioned to you, I'm an IT guy. That's been something I've wanted to do since I was about 13 years old. And that was my goal in life, was to find the right job, the right fit, the right everything with that, and to do that career for the rest of my life. And about 15, 16 years ago, I found the right job. It was the perfect job, the best thing in the world. And it fit all of the criteria I had. And then I walked in one morning and I was told I was losing that job. And I had a lot of other things going on at the same time. My dad was ill. He had just had surgery. I was helping him. I had other things going on. I was overwhelmed. And the next thing I knew, I went out at lunch, went to a nearby park, and I'm standing on a bridge looking down, trying to determine if that's high enough for me to jump off of to end everything. Okay. And I was at a very low point there. And I remembered my 3 kids. And I had a difficult relationship with my dad, and I had promised I'd always be there for them. And so I walked away. But I didn't learn the lesson.
Excuse me, when you say you walked away, you walked away from the bridge, or you walked away
from the bridge?
And your family. We need to be clear.
I walked away from the bridge. Thank you for clarifying that.
But you were this close.
I was.
And so many of our listeners, so many people listening, including myself, have been at that point of, I can remember vacuuming once, trying to write a letter to my daughter as to how to explain why I've done what I've done. We've all been at that point. So, we can not only sympathize with that, we can empathize with that. So fortunately, luckily for us, you walk away from the bridge. Go for it.
Yep. So I walked away from the bridge, but I didn't learn the lesson of what got me there, which was a lot of self-sabotage that happened for the next 9 years. Mm-hmm. And so I was changing jobs every 6 months or every year, having trouble just trying to find something. What that was, I wasn't sure. And eventually I left IT altogether because I was just like, this isn't me, and became a real estate agent with no savings, only a list of people who I knew that were friends and family, and no backup plan. So I jumped off to a new career, and what happens?
You jumped off of a bridge, but it was a different bridge.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And what happened is I fell flat on my face hard. And so I was at the point of bankruptcy. I was even literally counting coins to figure out if I could afford to get my kids Christmas gifts. I was at an extremely low point. And I was thinking about that bridge again. I was really thinking about it. And at the time, when the first time I had 3 kids, and now I have 2 more. And so they're heavy on my mind at this point. But it's too much at that point. So there was a great friend who knows me very well. He knew things weren't quite right, and he reached out to me, and I told him, he pressed hard. I wasn't really wanting to talk about it, but he pressed hard, and I told him, I can't buy Christmas gifts for the kids this year. I looked down at my phone. I'm texting back and forth with him when this is happening, and I look again, and suddenly money shows up on my phone from my friend. And that moment of gratitude pulled me out of that hole.
See, gratitude.
Yeah,
That
gratitude for sure.
act of true kindness, right?
But I needed more than that. I needed more than that to get me on the path to a better mindset. And so going back and forth with my friend again, he decided, John, you need something that breaks the pattern. You need a challenge. So what he did is he said, look, I want you to go to the gym and go scan your gym card. You do not have to do anything else. Just show up, walk in the door, scan your gym card, and go home. And then he added onto it, I want you to do it every damn day.
Oh,
that's where the name comes from.
I see that.
And at the time, that was 5 days a week. Show up Monday through Friday, get that done. I take a break on the weekends and do that. And I started off, I'm like, what in the world is this supposed to do? Why in the world do I just need to show up and scan my card? Well, the way I operate is I showed up and I didn't just scan the card. I'm like, well, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to walk in. So I walked on the treadmill. I did something. And then I started doing that 5 days a week. And the requirement too was that I had to take a selfie of myself. And I sent stats from my Apple Watch at the time, sent those to him. I had to send him those accountability points every day. And after a while, I was just sending pictures like this. And he finally said, okay, now you have to smile in every one of them. So I started smiling in each one. So this was like December of 2018, I think. And so I started doing this. And so I got to about January. I'm unemployed, by the way, still at this point. I have no job, but I'm doing this. I'm showing up. And in January, I get a fitness trainer to help me out. And I start to see improvements, not just in mindset, but I start to see physical improvements. I join a challenge at the gym and I win that gym's challenge for the 3 months that they had it. So I was the winner of that. I landed a new job in February of 2019. One I'm still at right now, which is fantastic. Better than the jumping job to job that I was doing the previous 9 years. But I was starting to see a pattern. And the pattern I was getting was consistency, making sure to stay consistent. And I kept doing this for 2 years straight. 5 days a week for 2 years straight. The interesting part of the story is that right now I'm doing a second challenge. It's 1,000 days straight, and it's 7 days a week now. And with that came about because I kind of lacked off from the previous challenge. I stopped when my father got ill and he passed away later that year. But that actually gave me resiliency to handle that, which was fantastic. So I learned a lot of lessons. I grew beyond just fitness. I started doing journaling. I started reading books. I got involved in a group with Ben Hardy, a pod group, and started being accountable to other people. And as I'm going through this, my mindset shifts, and so does my attitude. For 47 years of my life, I am a negative, angry, bitter person. I'm not going to say that's all gone because I still have moments where I get really frustrated, but my attitude is much, much different because of all the consistent small wins that I do every single day. And that consistency, that discipline, doing all of that has made a huge difference. Today was day 808 of my 1,000 day challenge that I am on. So I have not missed a day. I show up, I do something at the gym Monday through Friday. I'll run or walk on Saturdays, and I walk on Sundays. And I have seen the difference. By doing this for the last 2.5 years, I have seen an even greater mind shift into more gratitude, into more positivity, looking at situations in a much better light. Instead of being reactive, I'm more proactive. Everything is different for me now.
Well, what I'm hearing, and Al, I'm going to say a little bit here, then, please dive in. I think one of the most important things is, in your story, of course, we talk about kindness all the time, and our world needs gentleness is what I try to say to people, and being kind and being gentle costs you nothing, absolutely nothing. But if you're in that mindset of, let's say poor me, and I don't mean that to be derogatory in any term, but when you're depressed, you're into a way poor me situation. And I think so that an act of kindness is what makes you stop and think. And then having then that guy, obviously a fabulous guy, fabulous friend, forces you in a way, I want a photo. So what he's actually doing is, it's no good. I'm not going to hear you tell me that, you're showing up. He's giving you accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that one of the things that we can do for each other is to, make sure if we have someone in this situation, is to say to them, you have to be accountable for your actions. For instance, when I talk to people and I give them help and advice, which is what, often people come to me for, one of the many reasons they come to me for, I'm not going to keep doing it. If I talk to you twice and you're still doing the same thing, I give you a third chance. But if you're still doing the same thing, you're wasting my time. So I think that accountability is very, very, and a very important thing. And nobody likes accountability. None of us want to be held accountable for what we should or shouldn't be doing. But I think that in order for this to work, obviously for you, this is what worked for you. And I have to tell you, when I look at you, your face, you have such a bright, happy face. When people look at you, they must see something in you that is in when they hear your story, which inspires you, because obviously it shows. I think our attitude honestly shows in our face, in our body, in everything that we do. I think if we have a good attitude, it shows. And I think that people listening to your story thinking, well, I wouldn't go to the gym, I wouldn't want to do that. So, and I'm one of those people, hold my hand up there. But I think the accountability thing is really very important, because it's helpful and it's inspiring to people, because, if somebody's done something nice for you, how are you going to turn around and say, yeah, but I'm sorry, but it's not for me? It's right. So Al, what are you thinking here?
So I'm Rosemary, I'm also pretty into fitness as well. And it does help.
Not me.
It does help with the mental aspect more than anything else for me. But I was really interested in, because I think with people's attitudes, they have sort of these inherent behaviors, this kind of default that they go to, which you talked about, John. And I'd really be interested to hear, if we're talking about that recipe, right, Rosemary, how because you said you do go there to that sort of dark place, and now you reset and seem to have a little bit more resilience and sort of speed in resetting. Like, what do you actively do that? How do you sort of approach getting to that good place when you inherently, just based on what you told me, go to that sort of dark place? If that's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great question. One of the things that, like if something happened, and Rosemary, you brought up a great point just a minute ago too. The question that I would always ask myself is, why me? Why is this happening to me?
Yeah. Well, that's anything, right? We've all been there.
We all do
Yeah.
that. Yes.
And it's a matter of reprogramming that mindset to ask a different question, which is, what is this teaching me at this moment?
Yeah.
And that's one of the most important things that I've learned by doing all of this, by doing that mind shift is, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, this is happening for a reason, but why is that happening? And what am I to learn from it? And how am I to approach this either in another situation if it happens again, or how do I fix this? To get to that point, it's been a long, hard journey. It is not easy. It is not something that happens overnight. It is not something that that can be handed to you either. Like, for example, my friend gave me the challenge. Well, okay, the challenge was great, but who had to do the work?
That's
I
right.
had to do the work. I
But
had to put in the time.
I think it's important to say, well, first of all, let me say, when people say to me, why me? And I say sometimes, why me? I say, why not me? Because
That's a great question too.
There's nothing about me or any one of us that is special enough that life doesn't happen to us. So when I encourage people to, when they say, why me? I say, why not me? And then I think it's great that you're saying, which I also teach, okay, what am I supposed to get out of this? What am I supposed to learn from this? But and now I've lost my train of thought with whatever else it was that you'd said. But I do think that I think that negativity and positivity, whichever way we decide to go, isn't so much about who we each are as individuals. I think it's so much of learned behavior. And I think that we learn from our environment, from our schools, from particularly from our parents, our siblings. If we come from a dysfunctional family, if we come from a place where all we're hearing from everybody is saying, oh, why me, or poor me, or whatever, it becomes inherent in you to do the same thing. And I think it's learned behavior. So what I'm hearing you saying is, and you've said, it's hard to think, what have I got to learn from this? Instead of saying, why me? What am I going to learn from this? You actually are changing that learned behavior, and you are discovering a different way of using that attitude in a positive way rather than a negative way. But I do think a lot of negative people they can be so frustrating for me to be around, because I'm a very positive person. I think it's so frustrating, but at the same time, I recognize this is learned behavior and we have a choice. You can learn a different kind of behavior. You can choose to learn a different kind of behavior, which is what you've done, or you can choose to, well, let's face it, it's just too easy just to keep going the way we're going, right?
Yeah.
I want to, Alan, I know you want the recipe. I think we'll come to the recipe in a minute, but I would love to hear, John, you talk a little bit about your organization. I'm sort of wanting to get some of that out, because we only have an hour here. So we've got a short amount of time, and I really want to know now. You said something to me which, I'm not sure I'm happy about, but at the same time, I think it's great. I understand why. Tell me about this organization of yours that I think you've developed this with the friend who originally helped you. Isn't that nice? So
that is correct. Absolutely. He's a pilot, actually. He's a pilot for a major airline. And we started it as a business, actually, which was focusing originally to help young men who are like college age, to help them to find purpose, to develop a plan for their future and to work towards that. But we found that we were starting to resonate a lot with teenagers, teenage boys in particular. And one of the struggles that we have run into is how young men are really having a hard time trying to build the discipline that they need, to build the relationships that they need to advance once they get out of that high school age into college, into a career, into a family. So we put together a foundation, a nonprofit called the Raising Great Fathers Foundation. And it's actually based around my friend's aviation background. So our logo has a father and a son pointing at a plane, and we try to use aviation principles in teaching a lot of the concepts that we do. And our focus right now in our plan is we're coaching a lot of young men and their parents. So we're working on all sides of this. We want to help the parents to see how to help and guide and steer their young men in making plans to be stronger, to be more effective, to be consistent, to be disciplined, and to have a hope for the future and a plan moving forward. And we turned this into a nonprofit because we wanted to reach more people. We wanted to be able to raise more money, to be able to find individuals who really needed our help. And it's such an important thing for us. And for me, you brought up something very that kind of touches me very deeply. You talk about how our mindsets are based upon our environments. And for me, my parents were not the best role models. My father was emotionally abusive, and I did not have a great relationship with him. And the negativity in that just flowed along with me through really the 47 years of my life.
I think it seeps into you, to be honest. I don't think it
Yes.
flows over you necessarily. It's something that, because I had the same experience. It's something that just seeps into you, and it becomes, if you're not careful, it becomes a part of you, and you don't even recognize, because you're so used, that's how it's always been. You don't even recognize that you're doing the same thing that your parents did, and so on.
It becomes your identity.
Yes.
That's how I saw it. It was my identity to be this negative, angry person. And for Raising Great Fathers, after doing all of this work that I've done on myself, I want to help young men to avoid that trap, that pitfall.
Now, I'm going to stop you right there, because, I have a daughter, and I also have a grandson who is in 2 or 3 months becoming a teenager. All right. So in my household, I don't, we have one rule in the house, only one rule in my house, and that is no sulking. And whatever happens, whatever is said, whatever the argument is, whatever we're talking about, no sulking, no moodiness, none of that. And that rule applies to anyone who comes into the house, like boyfriends, or even my friends, or people who come for dinner. I put my finger up and say no sulking, because while you're sulking and you're moody and so on, you're not able to think, what am I doing, or what did they mean, or what am I supposed to, you're just you're sinking into that negativity, which is why I've had that rule since my daughter was 2 years old, and we continue with it. Now, Al is he's an amazing father. His kids, I know them very well. He has 2 sons and a daughter. Now, Al, I'm sure that you're really excited about this boys program, but wouldn't it be great if we had a girls program too? Because girls have, the same. Why boys? I've been thinking, isn't this a little sexist here?
No, I'm gonna actually defend John just a little bit here. Right? First, let me say that I am all about the mothers and what they do, and how we can't even compare to the efforts that mothers put in. But I think with being a father, we're not, like, I was lucky enough to have a really great father. My relationship with mom, not not quite the same, right? But I think with fathers, you're not really ever taught to be good to your kids, to be stern. You're taught, hey, be tough, be strong, be tough, be strong. And that's kind of everything you're taught as a kid, by society, all that stuff. So I think the importance of having sensitivity as a father, being able to hug your child, being okay with the sensitive and emotional stuff, but still be strong and still be there for your kids, is something that there's not a lot of guidance on. There's not a lot of stuff in the media to say, hey, it's okay to hug your kids. It's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to cry. It's all about, hey, you got to be tough. You got to be strong. Don't show emotions. I mean, Rosemary, I don't think I cried for 6 months after my dad died, right? So that, I think, is missing. It's no disrespect to mothers and motherhood. I think it's just this gap with the culture of society. Yeah.
So you got to stop here. Listen, I'm all for fathers teaching their sons. I'm all for, John, I think this sounds like a great program. But I know very much so, because I have a daughter and a grandson. I know that daughters need this thing as well. So maybe down the track here, when this is going strong and you feel able to, maybe, someone will come in to say, hey, hang on a minute here. We need this program for the girls as well as for the boys. So I'm not sort of having a go at what you're doing. I'm very pleased with what you're doing. I just think, we could spread it a little bit. But I also have something that I encourage with my students. I'm very fortunate. I have a fabulous relationship with my daughter. She tells me everything, and sometimes it's too much information, but I tell her pretty much everything. She tells me pretty much everything. And my grandson will come to me if he's having issues at school or with his parents or whatever. He comes to me. He calls me Mosey, and he comes to me for my advice. And so we have a great relationship. But I always say to people, and it's really important, and you might want to include this in your program. And I say to my students, I say to everyone who comes to me, if you don't show it, they don't know it. Meaning, if you don't show your kids your affection, they might, they might say, oh, I'm sure my mom and dad love me, but not showing it is holding something back from them. And if you don't show it, how can you teach other people to show it to their kids or to, whoever they're involved in? So I have this motto: if you don't show it, they don't know it. And I had a lady on a consultation with me, and and I said to her, look here, your husband is lovely, really lovely. But when was the last time you put your arm around him and told him so? When was the last time you showed him any affection? Well, he knows I love him. Yeah. But I think it's very important. And I gave her a little talking to about it. And I bet that night when he came home, I bet the first thing she did was put her arms around him, because I said, I'm going to be watching you. And that's scary in itself when you think somebody's watching you.
There's a stat I want to share that really was eye-opening to me, and part of the reason why we're doing what we're doing, and part of the reason why I do Every Damn Day as well as a movement, because this is really, since COVID, it's increased dramatically. But the Center for Disease Control in 2023 put out that 49,000 Americans died by suicide. Nearly 80% were men.
Oh,
that's a scary number.
That is.
And I relate to that because that was me.
Because that was you.
Yeah, that was me. And knowing that the environments that I had and other men have had, that can contribute to that. And I know for me as a dad, I felt overwhelmed. I felt like a failure. I felt like I couldn't provide for my kids. I couldn't provide for my wife. I could not even take care of myself. I felt worthless. And I don't want to ever see another man or boy in that circumstance because their environment pushed them to that brink.
Yeah.
And
Why
that's
do
and that's
you,
what I want to try to avoid.
why do you think, that's an interesting statistic right there. Are you of the opinion that women are stronger, or they just have to be stronger because they're going to be left to have the kids, so maybe they don't need the same kind of help? What is your opinion on that?
My opinion, in a family where there is a father and a mother, a husband and a wife, they're a help meet. It's work together. There's nobody who's better than the other. It's
Right.
You have to figure out how to work together to make
Right.
the household run, to raise the kids in the right environment. It's a team effort. The father is not over the mother is not over the father. That is not how a marriage or a family works. It is a co-parenting effort. It is a co-marriage. And that's how I see it. I think women are very important. The fact that one of their most important jobs is to bring a life into the world. And I've seen my wife do it 5 times. And I am in awe of her ability to do this. And that right there is an incredible feat. And then to take that child and to raise that child, a mom is so necessary for that. But so is a dad too.
I'm not doubting you here. I don't, let's get off the women versus men thing, because that's not what this is about. And
Sure,
we women know that we're the stronger sex anyway. So we don't need to argue.
The men know that too, Rosemary.
I am thrilled because I have a grandson who is so sensitive and so caring. He's so very, very talented. But you see him having doubts and so on. I'm not saying boys have more doubts than girls, because I don't think they do. But perhaps, we have to listen to these statistics. And so I think that, you helping fathers be better fathers, or wanting fathers to be better fathers, and bringing the family into these environments as much as you can, I think is brilliant. I think that's so. Please don't sit there and think I'm giving you a hard time. It's just that I'm a woman. I got to stand up for us.
As you should.
I think too, like John, you did mention, Rosemary, you just mentioned this too, like you work with parents too. It's not just a dad, sometimes it's the parents. And I think for me it's important to recognize, like, John, you're speaking from a dad trying to help sons become better dads, right? And that's your perspective, and that's sort of your lane. So I'm not sure, Rosemary, how well it would go off if he started telling moms what to do. So I think
they might not like it.
You want to hear something fascinating? Is with our program, moms love it. They are the ones that we connect with the most. They really appreciate the fact that we want to step up and help their boys.
I can actually understand that, because I think a lot of mothers, sorry, there's my British accent coming out there. A lot of mothers, I think, do struggle. They feel more able to cope with their daughters, whether this is true or not. They feel more able to cope with their daughters than perhaps their sons. So I do understand why mothers might love the fact that their sons are getting male attention. They're getting, some kind of understanding. And, I can see why mothers would really want to buy into this program, because we girls look at things differently is perhaps their mentality, and I think so I do see that mothers would absolutely be on board with this program, and I'm very intrigued by the program too. Do you have unfortunately it has to be brief because we're going to come to the recipe in a minute, but
Sure.
do you have an example of maybe a boy that you had to take under your wing or that has somehow benefited from this program that you're running?
Yes, there's one boy in particular. I'm not going to share his name because I don't have
No,
permission
okay.
to share it, but
Yeah.
I will share his story. But his goal was to become a pilot, like Jeremy, or my
Oh, okay.
friend. So he really wanted to be a pilot, and he connected with Jeremy really well. And he's a great kid, and that was always his goal, was to become a pilot. And then he reached his senior year, and then he found out for some reason medically he could never become a pilot. And all of the training, the coaching, and everything that we had helped him with, instead of completely shutting down, which I would have done, even at 47, I would have shut down if I had told you can't do this because you have a medical problem.
The disappointment has to be so great.
At that age, it's even bigger.
Yeah.
He bounced back and decided, okay, I'm now going to become a computer programmer, and that's my new career. And he just immediately switched. And now he's on track with going to college, and he found a job in the airline industry that he's doing, but it's not being a pilot, but he's at least fulfilling part of his dream. But he's got the mindset to handle it.
I was already ahead of you there because I'm thinking, well, if he can do that, then why not do that with an airline company? Why not do that in aviation? And just you're switching from sort of flying the airplane to actually helping to control the environment of airspace and so on and so forth. So that's great. So I'm sure you have loads and loads and loads of other stories that you can tell. Let me. I have this one important. Well, I think it's an important question. You decided to go into partnership with your friend, and now you're working with this non-profit organization. Is this, do you think, a long-term goal for you? Do you see yourself? I know we can't say what's going to happen tomorrow necessarily, but is this something that you would like to do long-term, or do you have other ideas going forward?
Sure. This is just part of my plan. This is my service side working for that, and that has become a priority at the moment. But when I talked about every damn day, I've been working on that now for 7 years, and I started on social media, sharing posts, sharing reels, and inspiring people. And a lot of people are getting inspired to be more consistent and to change their mindsets and to work on things. I probably will start shifting over to doing possibly some coaching, but really looking at doing more speaking. That's really been a drive for me, is get out there and do more public speaking, to really inspire people to get down into the weeds and figure out how to reprogram their mindset and their life, and to get back on track in a direction that is positive and better.
To change their habits.
Yes.
Is what we're saying here, to change your habits. Well, we would very much like to help you with that, in that we're going to ask in a few minutes, and we'll certainly put it up on our stuff. How can people find you? How can they learn more about your program, and so on and so forth? So we're going to do that before the end of the program. Now, Al, we love the recipe time because we're making a great chocolate cake here. It's going to be super rich.
I love chocolate cake. This is dangerous. I love chocolate cake.
Well, visualize this as the best chocolate cake you ever ate. You can't, because you've never tried mine, and mine is the best chocolate cake you will ever eat. But visualize this whole experience here. We're making a cake, whatever flavor, whatever. But when you're beginning something, you're talking about attitude, and the people listening really want to know how you do it or what is the recipe. Yeah, I just suddenly thought of one thing. Before we go to that, Chris, is there anybody in the chat room that would like to ask us a question? I forgot all about the chat room.
There's
Totally.
there's a lot of people in the chat room. Most of them are just comments. I haven't specifically seen a question yet.
Could you read a couple of the comments for us?
Caroline was talking about your fantastic rule about what you do in your family. Gary says he's witnessed hundreds of lives turned around by just talking with you, Rosemary. And also volunteering at a homeless shelter snapped him out of his poor me attitude.
So that's good.
Judith says,
what we're doing here is we're saying you've got to find something that takes you out of this and puts you in a different mindset. Carry on. A couple more, Chris.
Judith says encouragement from friends and family is beneficial, but we may not have that. It must come from inside us. We must desire it strongly to find it.
Yes, Judith, but I still think that if you have a strong desire inside of you, that strong desire should lead you towards finding someone who can help you, because how else are you going to be made accountable?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So we got one more, Chris, and then we're gonna talk about this amazing chocolate cake that we're gonna bake right now.
All right. Dean says, I left my dark hole of life when I had a consultation with Rosemary. Have never looked back.
Now this guy came to me how many years ago? Dean, you got to put it up because I can't remember, but it's years and years and years ago. And every year, his accountability to me was that every year on the anniversary of his consultation with me, he wrote me a letter. And he wrote me a letter about all the changes that he was making. And the letter went, talked about the changes in his family and the changes within him too. I probably could tell you actually, John, that what actually happened with Dean is I gave him a really good, hard kick up the backside in a gentle and loving and caring way, but nevertheless,
sometimes that's what it takes. Yeah.
Sometimes that's what it takes. And I'm sure that that's what you tell your students too.
It's what happened to me.
Exactly. But I think that and this has been going on, I'm going to say at least 20 years, maybe more, maybe 30 years.
Dean just said 20 years, Rosemary.
20 years. Okay, so Dean is saying this went on for 20 years, and he wrote me a letter just recently, again on the anniversary. So this is great. This is another way of being accountable, and it's great when we see people change their attitude. Well, let me just say thank you to everybody, and thanks for your comments and so on. I'd like to come back now, John. I'm going to put you on the hot seat here.
Okay.
And Al, I'm going to put you on the hot seat because between the two of you, I'll add a little here and there. I want a good recipe here. I want a recipe for the best chocolate cake. It's all right saying to people, you need to change your attitude. Fine. Okay, we've got that. It's all right for me to say, go make a chocolate cake. I know how to make a chocolate cake. I have my recipes here that, most of them created myself. We're going to try, if we can, to create a recipe so that people can actually follow it. They can write it down, they can follow it, they can mark it off when they've done this and this, so that they can actually end up producing the very best the richest, the creamiest, the most delightful, the most tasty attitude that you could possibly have. So let's see. I want an answer from both. And putting Al on the hot seat is, I never put him on the hot seat. Well, sometimes I do. Not anyway. Moving on. What do you think would be the top of the list of, what you need in this recipe that we're trying to create?
Consistency.
And
I have a saying, consistency is undefeated. And I say consistency because if you stay with something, I mean, for me, it's fitness. For Alice, fitness. For others, it could be walk. It could be, something else that works for what they need. But in order to change your mindset, you have to stay consistent, because once you fall off the train, it can be hard to get back on. And the more consistent you are, the more progress you make towards that destination you're heading towards.
Okay. I'll ask for your opinion in a minute, but I'm a baker, right? As long as I put the oven on, let's say 350, and I shove the thing in the oven and I leave it for 35 minutes or whatever it takes, to me, that's consistency. But how do we arrive at that? We've got to turn the oven on. We've got to put it at a certain temperature. So I get that there's consistency. I want to push you. I do want to push you.
Sure.
How can people create? What is the mindset that creates that thing? What is the ingredient that says, okay, consistency? Because you can have consistency, but how do you get to the point that you are able to have that consistency?
Everybody likes to win. Everybody likes to have success, and it feels good. So to do that, you need a win, and it doesn't need to be a big win. Find a small win every day. Find that small win. If it's, hey, I got up when my alarm went off and I didn't stay in bed and sleep in and hit the snooze button, that's a win.
See, that's a good answer. That's a really good answer. I like that answer, because having a win or having a goal or having again, even if it's only a tiny thing, small thing, I got up out of bed today, hey, I made my breakfast today, or, I was able to go for a walk today. These are the small wins. So I'm going to, because I'm in charge here, I'm laughing. I'm the one creating the recipe. I want to put in, if this is okay with you, and you can do what you like once you leave here, of course, and change it. But for me, the recipe would be, first and foremost, sort of make a list. You can either write it down or put it in your head of what small wins would be. Would it be getting out of bed? Would it be, instead of watching TV for half an hour, reading a book for 10 minutes or something? Whatever it is, I think we need to find the small wins. We're looking for the ingredients. So those ingredients would be, let's say, getting out of bed, or smiling. I'm going to smile at 10 people today. Find the small wins, because those wins, as they grow and as you feel more confident, are going to build that they're going to make you want to keep going. They're going to make you want to be consistent. Right? So I'm putting wins at the top, and then that creates the consistency. Al?
Yeah, I just, based on what you've told us and some of the stuff I've lived through, I think people have these sort of epiphanies, like, hey, I have to work out, right? But what they don't realize after the epiphany is it's like the everyday decisions to do that, which takes discipline and willpower. And for you at the beginning, you talked about, hey, if I go to this place, it was almost like self-talk. Like, all right, get rid of that. Actively say to yourself, get rid of that and think about it this way. And that active decision or self-talk to change your mindset happens daily, 10 times, 20 times a day. So for me, and that's important for me as well, but it sounded like with you, John, as well, it was something that you do on a pretty daily basis. Recipe wise, I think it's that ability to not just decide, hey, I want to do it, but to have the discipline and willpower to make those decisions many times a day, right?
I'm going to be nitpicky again.
Go ahead.
What is the ingredient that creates in you the need to get up off the sofa and to go out rather than stay on the sofa and switch the TV on? What's the ingredient? What is that? I mean, we can all say, oh, God, I go for a walk today, or I need to go out today, but then we don't. So what is the thing that can force us to do that? What is the ingredient in this cake that really makes us want to do that?
Celebrate. When you have the win, celebrate.
Good job. Well done. Well done. I love this. See, I'm already loving this cake. But I'm making you guys think, aren't I? I'm forcing you into, because again, consistency, well, how do I do that? It's like, have consistency, make a cake. How do I do that? The small wins. Mm-hmm. How are we inspired to get up off the sofa? Well, or how are we inspired to keep going with this consistency? Celebrating, and we don't have to celebrate in a big way.
No.
Right? Just give ourselves a little treat from time to time.
Or just jump out of the chair and go, yes, I did it. Or something it doesn't have to be complex.
You're right. That's exactly right. So here is my cake so far. This is my ingredient so far. We have small wins, lots of spices, little spices, and little herbs in there. They're the small wins, which create consistency, which means the cake can rise. Okay, we have celebrating every time we have a small win. Just saying yes, or go to the mirror, look in the mirror and say, I look great. This is good. I look great today. Or it doesn't matter what it is. Or if you really must, take that piece of chocolate that you've been saving for ages and just pop it in your mouth and say, look at me, look at what I'm doing. I won today. I've had some small wins today. So celebrating, I think, is a really, really, good thing. And Al, I agree with what you're saying, but now I need at least 2 more ingredients, guys. We've got 2 more ingredients.
So the one that comes to mind for me, that was a very important part of my journey, gratitude. I needed to change to a focus of gratitude. And for me,
Rosemary, breaking up a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, I looked at 5 things I was grateful for, and I would journal those every day. And I say 5. A lot of people will say, just think of 3. No, 5. 5 makes you think. It makes you pause. It makes you go a little further. And you could have the same 3 things. I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful for my wife. I'm thankful for my kids. You stop there and you're good, right? But no, there's more. There's a lot more that you have that you're grateful for. And when you start diving deeper into those thoughts, and I encourage people to journal it, because writing, there's something about a filter between the fingertips and the head. It slows your thinking to the point where you have to pause. And when you're writing it down, don't type it, physically write it. It makes you start thinking about it. So, and it then goes from here to here.
I think we can safely then put a journal in, but I love the gratitude. I'm going to add 2 more things, because I agree that we should think of 5 things. I tell people when they go to bed at night, before they go to sleep, think of 10 things today. Just 10 things that you are grateful for.
Mhm.
And, you know, it might be the same 10 things every night. It might, but the point is that you are having a better attitude. Doesn't matter if it's the same 10 things, but your attitude is thank you, thank you, thank you, rather than, you know, why this happened to me. I'm going to put in, because they're important ingredients to me in every cake, kindness. Just be kind. Even if it's to yourself, be
Yeah.
kind every day.
Mhm.
Find something to be kind about. And you know, and also I think it's really important that we show, if you don't know it, if you don't show it, they don't know it. That's going into my cake. But I also think, you know, it's very important to show, you know, show love in it, you don't have to be soppy about it. Just show love. Al, give me another ingredient.
I think going back to what you've said many times, we're all just human beings, right? Humility and perspective to know that, hey, why me? But hey, why not you? And we're no different than anyone else. Just to keep that focus in mind and that perspective in mind, that even though you may be going through it, other people are going through it too, and worse. Doesn't mean you can't like understand the why and deal with the why you're going through stuff. But that humility and perspective for me would be something to put in there, which I think you spoke to as well, John.
Yeah, and I think most importantly, our world needs gentleness. So I'm going to add that into the mix of this cake. Now, here's the deal about a cake, right? The deal about the cake is you can eat it all at once. You can gorge on it. And why not? Because this is great cake. Or even if you have just a little taste of it every day. So I think it's important, and that's where your consistency comes in. If you have a little taste of this cake every day, I think it's, you know, bringing that consistency in and helping us to understand that our positive attitude, changing our attitude, really can help not just us, but all of those people.
And Rosemary, you said many times, you talk about the gentleness and kindness. The world needs that, but you also said to do that for yourself, right? Be gentle and kind.
Very important.
Yeah.
I think I always see my students be selfish. Be selfish with yourself first, because if you're not in a good place, you're not going to be able to help anybody else. So be selfish with yourself. It's okay, as long as you don't walk all over everybody else to get there. It's okay to be selfish with yourself, to give to yourself. And I think that, John, a lot of what you're saying is you be selfish with, we've got to be selfish with ourselves. We want to be good dads. There's nothing more selfish than wanting to be a good dad, but selfish in a most positive and potent way. I'm selfish with my grandson. Boy, am I ever. But it makes me a better grandmother, and it makes me a better teacher for him and a better example for him. And, you know, and I don't want to leave my daughter out of this. I try to do that for her too. So I know we're coming up to time any minute now, because it's going to say we're out of time. John, if you could say one thing to us all, and I've loved talking to you. I'd love to have you back on. I'd love to hear more stories.
It's been great being here.
I'd love to do more with you. But if there is one thing you could leave us with today, that this hour's gone so fast. If you could leave one thing with us today, and I'm putting you on the spot, I know, what would that be?
You know, I'm gonna add on to your chocolate cake analogy here for just a second.
Please.
Where, of course, it's now made, it's cooked, but you need to control your inputs. So you need to control what's coming in here.
Yes.
You have to control. As I like to call it from an IT perspective, you need to build firewalls. You need to keep the negative out. You need to reprogram to be able to recognize when something comes in that shouldn't be there. You're like, you need to combat it and push it out. And so controlling what's going in is so key to having that positive attitude.
This is why I'm saying we can take little bites of this cake.
Yes, exactly.
Isn't that that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Take,
Don't gorge.
well,
Take a little at a time.
gorging also, but if you take little bites of that cake, those little bites are reminders to you, aren't they? They're reminders to us to sort of just keep going with our positivity. And even when things are, especially when things are looking the worst, let's bite of that. Let's take a little nibble of that cake. Let's remind ourselves of what we're doing here.
I lived 47 years in the assumption in my mind that nothing's supposed to go wrong. You can't live life that way.
No.
Hmm.
Who told you that, for goodness sake?
It's just how I thought. It's just how, because of my circumstances, what was brought in, how I was brought up.
Yeah.
Just everything shouldn't go wrong. It will. It's just a matter of when. You have to be ready for it.
I'm going to leave us with this saying from Grey Eagle, which this Grey Eagle is my spirit guide. Okay, here we go. He always says to people, if I would smooth your path and leave no wrinkles, mountains, rocks, boulders, whatever, where would your learning process be?
Exactly.
That's what we're talking about here, I think. And this is what you're showing us with your story. Things went badly wrong, but you did climb the boulders. You did, and you're still climbing that mountain and succeeding beautifully and wonderfully. Al, do you want to add anything before? Because Chris is going to shout.
We're good. We're good. I think we're at time. So thank you, though, John. Really appreciate you. And
John, we so appreciate you coming on. We love to hear your story. I love your mindset. I think you've got so much to teach your boys. We'll have to figure out a way to bring girls into that at some point. But I said I couldn't resist it. But thank you so very much for coming. We really loved having you, and I if I can say, I absolutely love your attitude.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Yes.
Okay, everybody, that's it for Everything is Attitude. Of course, I would like to say with my co-host, Al, Al, you want to say anything here?
thank you, Rosemary. Thank you, John. As always, it's a pleasure. Yes.
Okay. So from both of us, from Al and I, and I'm sure from John too, thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Thank you for listening. We really, really hope that we have, in one way or another, and particularly John in this case, that we have inspired you to go out and have a great rest of the day. If not, the rest of the weekend, and on and on and on. So thank you all. Please, everybody, have a very, very blessed rest of the day, and have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.